The aroma of fresh flowers filled the air as Emma stepped into her apartment, her arms laden with groceries. She had spent the morning running errands and finalizing plans for her 30th birthday celebration that evening. The party was supposed to be small and intimate, just close friends, her sister Olivia and her boyfriend, Nick. Nick had insisted on hosting the party at her place. "You shouldn't have to lift a finger on your birthday," he had said, flashing her his charming smile. Emma had been touched by the gesture, thinking once again how lucky she was to have such a thoughtful partner. Setting the groceries down, Emma noticed something odd. The apartment was eerily quiet. Nick was supposed to be there preparing for the party, but there were no signs of activity, no music, no clinking of dishes. "Nick!" she called out, setting her purse on the counter. No response. Emma shrugged off the strange feeling and began unpacking the groceries. Maybe he'd stepped out to pick up decorations or forgotten supplies. But as she walked toward the bedroom to put away some things, she heard a muffled sound, voices, soft and intimate. Her heart skipped a beat. The bedroom door was slightly ajar, and as she approached, the voices became clearer. Laughter, whispers. One voice unmistakably Nick's. The other, Olivia's. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She pushed the door open, and what she saw made her stomach drop. Nick and Olivia were tangled together in her bed, their faces flushed, their expressions frozen in shock when they saw her standing there. The world seemed to tilt around her. Emma gripped the doorframe for support, her mind struggling to process what she was seeing. "Emma," Nick stammered, scrambling to pull the sheets around himself. "This isn't— don't!" Emma snapped, her voice shaking with rage. "Don't you dare try to explain this." Olivia looked pale, her eyes wide with guilt. "Emma, get out!" Emma hissed, her voice rising. "Both of you, get out of my apartment. Now!" Nick reached for her, his voice pleading. "Emma, please, let me explain. It's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like," Emma shouted, stepping back. "I walked in on you in bed with my sister. How much worse could it look?" Olivia hurriedly dressed, avoiding Emma's gaze. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Sorry?" Emma's voice cracked. "You're sorry? You betrayed me. Both of you." Nick opened his mouth to speak, but Emma cut him off. "I said, get out. Now!" They gathered their things in silence, the weight of Emma's fury pressing down on them. As the door slammed shut behind them, Emma sank to the floor, her chest heaving with sobs. The betrayal cut deeper than she thought possible. It wasn't just Nick, it was Olivia, the one person she had always trusted unconditionally. Her birthday, the milestone she had been so excited to celebrate, had turned into the day her world fell apart. Emma sat on the cold hardwood floor, staring at the mess her life had become. The bedroom, once her safe space, now felt like a crime scene. Her mind raced with questions that had no answers. How long had this been going on? When had they crossed the line? And why hadn't she seen it coming? She replayed moments in her head, the times Nick and Olivia had exchanged seemingly innocent laughs, the way Olivia had always been eager to help Nick with surprises for her. What she had once dismissed as harmless closeness now felt like glaring red flags she had chosen to ignore. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table, pulling her out of her thoughts. It was a text from Nick. "Nick, please, Emma, can we talk? I owe you an explanation." Her hand shook as she read the message, her emotions swinging wildly between anger and heartbreak. But before she could reply, another text popped up. Olivia. "Emma, I'm so sorry. I made a horrible mistake. Please let me explain." Emma threw the phone onto the couch, unable to bear their words. How could they act as if explanations could undo the betrayal? The rest of the day passed in a haze. Emma canceled the party without offering details, sending short, clipped texts to friends. Change of plans. No party tonight. Thanks for understanding. Her friends responded with concern, but Emma couldn't bring herself to explain. She wasn't ready to share the humiliation. As evening fell, Emma found herself scrolling through old photos on her phone. There were pictures of her and Olivia as kids, their arms around each other, laughing in matching outfits. Family holidays, birthdays, vacations, moments that now felt tainted. Then there were photos of Nick, his arm draped casually over her shoulders, his smile warm and reassuring. She had believed in that smile, trusted the man behind it. The anger began to simmer beneath her sorrow. She needed answers. She needed to confront them, not for their sake, but for her own sanity. Emma grabbed her phone and called Nick. He answered on the second ring, his voice tentative. "Emma, come over," she said coldly. "Now! And bring Olivia with you." An hour later, Nick and Olivia stood awkwardly in her living room, their faces pale and drawn. Olivia wouldn't meet her eyes, while Nick fidgeted nervously with his hands. Emma crossed her arms, her expression icy. "Start talking," she said, her voice sharp. Nick cleared his throat. "Emma, I don't even know where to begin." "Try the truth," Emma snapped. "When did it start?" Olivia flinched, her voice barely above a whisper. "It was a few months ago, after that family dinner. We were talking, and it just happened." Emma's laugh was bitter. "It just happened. That's the best you can come up with?" Nick stepped forward, his voice desperate. "Emma, I know we messed up. I know we hurt you, and I can't even begin to express how sorry I am. It was stupid, selfish, stop." Emma interrupted, holding up a hand. "Do you love her?" The question hung in the air, heavy and unforgiving. Nick hesitated, his silence louder than any words he could have spoken. Olivia's voice cracked as she said, "It wasn't about love, Emma. It was a mistake." Emma's gaze bore into her sister. "You betrayed me. My own sister. Do you even realize what you've done?" "I do," Olivia whispered, tears streaming down her face. "And I hate myself for it." Emma shook her head, her voice rising. "You hate yourself? That's nothing compared to how much I hate both of you right now. You've destroyed everything. Our family, my relationship, my trust. You don't get to just apologize and move on." Nick reached for her hand, but she stepped back. "Don't touch me," she hissed. "You're both dead to me. Get out." "Emma, please," Olivia begged. "Let me try to fix this." "You can't fix this," Emma said, her voice cold. "Now leave." They left without another word, the door closing behind them with a hollow thud. Emma stood alone in the silence, her anger and pain swirling like a storm inside her. She wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Nick and Olivia had taken so much from her, but she wasn't going to let them walk away unscathed. The days after her birthday felt like a foggy blur to Emma. The stream of unanswered calls and texts from Nick and Olivia weighed heavily on her, but she refused to engage. Her emotions swung wildly between heartbreak and seething anger. Her phone buzzed incessantly with messages. "Nick, Emma, please let me explain. I made a mistake, but I love you. Please give me a chance to fix this." Olivia, "Emma, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. Can we talk? Please?" Emma deleted each message without reading them fully. She couldn't stomach their pleas. The betrayal wasn't just a fleeting mistake. It was a knife driven deep into her heart by the two people she trusted most. A week after the incident, Olivia showed up at Emma's door unannounced. The sight of her sister standing there, clutching a box of pastries from their favorite bakery, as if that could somehow smooth things over, made Emma's blood boil. "I'm not in the mood for this," Emma said, her voice flat. "Please, Emma," Olivia begged, her voice trembling. "Just hear me out." Emma stepped aside, letting Olivia in. She crossed her arms and leaned against the kitchen counter, her icy stare fixed on her sister. "Is it ever okay to snoop through your partner's phone? Write in the comments." "You have 5 minutes," Emma said coldly. Olivia set the box on the counter, her hands shaking. "I don't even know where to start," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "Try starting with why," Emma snapped. "Why would you do this to me? To your own sister?" Olivia's tears spilled over as she sank into a chair. "It wasn't planned, Emma. It just happened." "Nick and I were drinking at a work event a few months ago, and one thing led to another. I didn't mean for it to go this far." Emma's stomach churned. "A few months? You've been sneaking around with my boyfriend for months?" Olivia nodded, her face crumpling in shame. "It was a mistake, an awful, stupid mistake. I wasn't thinking." Emma's voice rose, trembling with fury. "You weren't thinking? That's your excuse? You've had months to think, Olivia. Months to stop. But you didn't. You kept lying to me, over and over." "I know." Olivia sobbed. "I hate myself for it. I swear, it didn't mean anything." Emma cut her off, slamming her hand on the counter. "It meant something to me, Olivia. You destroyed everything I thought I could trust. My relationship, my sisterhood, everything." Before Olivia could respond, Emma's phone buzzed again. It was Nick, his name lighting up the screen like a cruel joke. Emma silenced the call, glaring at her sister. "You and Nick are perfect for each other," Emma said bitterly. "You both know how to ruin people's lives without a second thought." Olivia wiped her face, her voice cracking. "I don't want him, Emma. It wasn't about that. I don't even know what it was about. Please, just tell me how to make this right." "You can't," Emma said firmly. "There's no coming back from this." The conversation ended with Olivia leaving in tears, her apologies hanging in the air like broken promises. Emma felt no relief, just a hollow emptiness where her relationship with her sister used to be. Later that night, Emma stared at her phone, debating whether to block Nick's number or finally confront him. Against her better judgment, she called him. He answered on the first ring. "Emma," he said breathlessly, relief evident in his voice. "Thank you for calling. I've been going crazy trying to reach you." "You've got 5 minutes," Emma said, echoing the words she'd said to Olivia earlier. Nick launched into a flurry of excuses, his voice desperate. "It was a mistake, Emma. I was drunk, and it didn't mean anything. I love you. I've always loved you. You love me," Emma repeated, her voice thick with sarcasm. "You love me, but you slept with my sister for months?" "It wasn't like that," Nick pleaded. "I was stupid. Weak. I didn't think. Stop," Emma said, her tone sharp. "I'm done listening to your excuses. I just need to know one thing. Why? Why would you do this to me?" Nick sighed heavily, his voice breaking. "I don't know, Emma. I was insecure, I guess. Scared about where we were headed. The wedding, the future, it all felt so big. Olivia was easy. She didn't have expectations." Emma felt a wave of disgust. "So instead of talking to me, you decided to destroy everything we had by running to my sister? I regret it every day," Nick said softly. "I'd do anything to take it back." "Good," Emma said coldly. "Because you'll regret it for the rest of your life. We're done, Nick. Don't call me again." She hung up, her hand shaking, and immediately blocked his number. As Emma sat in the silence of her apartment, she realized that she wasn't just mourning her relationship or her sister's betrayal. She was mourning the life she thought she had, the stability, the trust, the belief that the people closest to her had her back. But one thing was clear: she wasn't going to let them ruin her future. Emma barely slept that night. The anger that had initially consumed her began to give way to a deep, gnawing sadness. She replayed the betrayal in her mind, searching for signs she might have missed. Had Nick been distant? Had Olivia acted strangely? The morning brought no clarity, only exhaustion and the realization that she needed answers. Her phone buzzed incessantly with messages. Nick had sent her a stream of apologies, each one more desperate than the last. Nick. Emma, please talk to me. It was a mistake. I love you. Nick. I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. Please let me explain. Nick. I'm sorry. Don't throw everything away because of one stupid mistake. Emma deleted the messages without replying. Her sister, however, had sent only one message. Olivia. I'm so sorry. Can we talk? Please? Emma ignored it, too angry to face her just yet. How important is honesty in a relationship? Write in the comments. Instead, she decided to take matters into her own hands. If they thought they could brush this under the rug, they were sorely mistaken. That afternoon, Emma went to the florist where Olivia worked. It was a small, family-owned shop that Olivia often bragged about loving because of the calm and beauty it brought to her life. Emma entered the shop with purpose, her presence instantly drawing attention. Olivia was arranging a bouquet behind the counter when she looked up and froze, her face draining of color. Emma, she whispered, her hands trembling. Emma approached the counter, her expression cold. We need to talk, she said loudly, drawing the attention of the few customers browsing the shop. Emma, please, Olivia began, glancing nervously at the other people in the store. Can we go somewhere private? No, Emma said firmly. We're doing this here. You don't get to hide from what you did. Olivia's face reddened as the customers pretended not to eavesdrop. I'm sorry, she said, her voice barely audible. I didn't mean for it to happen. You didn't mean for it to happen? Emma repeated, her voice rising. You didn't mean to climb into bed with my boyfriend? To betray me in the worst way possible? Olivia's manager approached cautiously. Is everything okay here? No, Emma said, turning to face him. But I'll be leaving soon. I just needed to make something clear to my sister. She turned back to Olivia, her voice shaking with emotion. You were supposed to be my family, my support system. Instead, you destroyed everything. And for what? A man who doesn't respect either of us? Tears streamed down Olivia's face, but Emma didn't stop. I hope it was worth it, Olivia, Emma said, her tone icy. Because you've lost me. You've lost your sister. And I hope you realize just how much that costs. Emma stormed out of the shop, her chest heaving with a mix of anger and sadness. But as soon as she stepped outside, she was hit with a wave of doubt. Confronting Olivia had felt satisfying in the moment, but it didn't erase the pain. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a friend who had been at the ruined birthday party the night before. Friend! Hey, heard what happened. Are you okay? Let me know if you need anything. Emma stared at the message, her eyes welling up with tears. She had spent so much time focusing on Nick and Olivia that she hadn't thought about the people who still cared about her. That evening, Emma hosted an impromptu gathering at her apartment. She needed to surround herself with people who loved and supported her. Her friends showed up with wine, takeout, and reassuring smiles. You didn't deserve any of that, her best friend Kara said, wrapping Emma in a tight hug. But you're stronger than this. And you have us. As laughter and conversation filled the room, Emma felt a small spark of hope. She might have lost people she thought she could trust, but she wasn't alone. Emma woke the next morning in a daze, the events of the previous day crashing down on her like a wave. The emptiness of her apartment was suffocating, her bed feeling foreign after seeing Nick and Olivia in it. The betrayal burned fresh, but as the initial shock began to wane, anger settled in its place. By mid-morning, her phone buzzed incessantly. Nick had called multiple times, each unanswered. Olivia had sent text after text, begging Emma to talk to her. Olivia. Please, Emma, just let me explain. I never meant for this to happen. Nick. We need to talk. I can't lose you over this. It was a mistake. Emma stared at the messages, her blood boiling. A mistake? How could they reduce her heartbreak to a mere lapse in judgment? Determined not to let their excuses fester in her mind, Emma decided to confront them. She needed answers. She needed them to see her pain. She called Nick first. Meet me at the park in an hour, she said coldly. Nick's voice was filled with relief. Thank you, Emma. I'll be there. When she arrived, he was already waiting, pacing near the fountain. His face lit up when he saw her, but her glare quickly extinguished his optimism. I'm only here for one reason, Emma said, her tone icy. I want the truth, Nick. How long has this been going on? Nick hesitated, his eyes darting to the ground. It was just a few weeks, he mumbled. It didn't mean anything, Emma. I swear. Don't lie to me, Emma snapped. I saw the way you looked at her. You don't destroy a relationship for something meaningless. Nick sighed, running a hand through his hair. Okay, it's been a couple of months. But it didn't start on purpose. We were drunk one night after a work party Olivia came to. You're blaming alcohol? Emma interrupted, her voice rising. You slept with my sister and then decided it was okay to keep doing it? Nick reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Emma, it's over. I ended it. I know I screwed up, but I love you. I'll do anything to fix this. Emma's laugh was bitter. You ended it because I caught you. If I hadn't walked in, you'd still be sneaking around behind my back. Leaving Nick in the park, Emma felt a mix of anger and exhaustion. But she wasn't done. She still had Olivia to face. When she arrived at Olivia's apartment, her sister opened the door with swollen eyes and tear-streaked cheeks. Emma, Olivia said softly. Don't, Emma said, stepping inside. I'm not here for apologies. I want to know why. Olivia's lip quivered as she sank onto the couch. I didn't plan for this, Emma. It just happened. Nick was there for me when I felt like no one else was. Emma's jaw tightened. So you decided that justified betraying your sister? No, Olivia cried. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But it did, Emma said coldly. You made a choice, Olivia. Over and over again. And you didn't care how much it would destroy me. As Olivia sobbed, Emma stood, her heart hardening. You're my sister, Olivia. You were supposed to have my back, not stab me in it. I don't know if I'll ever forgive you. With that, she walked out, leaving Olivia alone with her guilt.